Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to this week's episode of Dear Nero, the weekly Q&A here in the channel where subscribers send in questions and I answer them. It's a pretty simple process. We're doing a solo episode here this week. No brother, no co-host or anything like that. Just me, myself, and I. I'm not sure what the gameplay is going to be, honestly, because I really have not been playing a lot of Vanguard as of late. I am just so sick and tired of the fire and things not working and crashes and packet bursts and everything else. And yesterday's update obviously did very little to actually alleviate most of that, so I'll definitely be getting a new SMG soon, probably leveling that up and messing around with that, but as of right now, I haven't really had a whole lot of motivation to play the game, which is why some of the gameplay you'll be watching today is going to be older gameplay from like earlier on when the game first came out back towards November and stuff like that. But we have a number of great questions this week. I hope you guys will all just sit back, relax, and enjoy as you game, as you go for a walk, as you work, as you do whatever it is you do while you listen to Dear Nero, because a lot of people do a lot of different things here. People say it's like great background noise for them while they're working out or they're gaming or doing whatever it is they're doing. I definitely think it's pretty cool. And typically we start these episodes off with a bit of a health update, a bit of a personal update. Haven't done one of those in a while, but that's because life is just normal again, pretty much. I have a counter on my phone. It's an app that keeps track of like dates and stuff like that. It's been 113 days sober. Life's been going really, really good with that. I've been on Prozac 90 days. This is 3 months on Prozac, which is also kicking in very well. And just, I noticed Prozac's good and bad. SSRIs, I think they're called, are definitely good and bad. They kind of numb the highs and they also numb the lows, I guess. I'm more like middle of the road these days. But in general, life has been pretty good. Everything's been going pretty well. Just been grinding nonstop on YouTube and Twitch as of late. And things have been going well. So there's a bit of a health update and a personal update for you guys. So let's go ahead and jump right into the questions here. The first question is coming in from David, who writes, Dear Nero, do you think that Sledgehammer just gave up or do you think they just suck at their jobs? David's cutthroat, man. David just goes right for it. I think that Sledgehammer Games gave up. I don't think that they are so incompetent at their jobs that they cannot fix the game. I just think they don't care, or they have much other stuff to be doing, like going on vacations or working on their next Call of Duty title that Sledgehammer Games has to do because of Activision. Like, I think that's what they're doing right now. I don't think that they're so incompetent that they had to wait 2 months to make it so we can have the UAV challenge work in this game. I don't think they're so incompetent that they literally for 2 months could not figure out the fact that, you know, the radar challenge didn't work or that the long shots on the Panzerfaust wouldn't work or anything like that. I think it's just simply they're stretched too thin. And I don't think they care nearly as much about it because why would they? And I think the question could also be turned back around on us. Why would we care? Right? This is a Call of Duty game. We spent our money on it, sure, but we all know damn well that another Call of Duty game is coming out in 1 year's time. So the long-term progression paths within the game, why do they matter to us? Because it all becomes completely irrelevant in like 6 months. Right? And so why do we care? Well, we care because we bought the product. We care about the Call of Duty franchise. We want to have fun on COD like we used to. Like, we're fans of the franchise. That's why we're here. That's why we buy the games. That's why we play the games. That's why we critique the games, because we want the game to be as good as humanly possible. And Sledgehammer Games, on the other hand, they're just like, who really cares? I mean, do people really care about 100%er in this game? I mean, it's not even a challenge. You can do every single challenge in the game. Well, now you can anyway after yesterday's update, because 2 of the challenges simply did not track. But you can do every single challenge in the game. You get nothing for it. You know, you get absolutely nothing. You get all the calling cards that are associated with the challenges, but that's it. So what's even the point? Like, you do it, and it's like, oh, cool, I did it, yay. And there's no reward, nothing to show off to your friends, nothing to show off online or anything like that. Like, you just do it just because you want to do it, essentially. And Sledgehammer knows that. And so like, well, why do we care about the challenges not tracking? People are leveling up pretty fast. We gave them double XP weekends for like more than the game's been out. Like, we've had double XP active more than we haven't had it active, I feel like, at this point. Like, I'm like level almost like 600 or something. And I haven't really been playing that much considering the game's been out for 2 months. So I think that Sledgehammer just doesn't really care this year. I think that they gave up, like you mentioned. I don't think they're too incompetent. I joke about them being incompetent and sucking at their jobs, but I think the reality is they're sucking at their jobs in a different way. They're sucking at their jobs not because they can't do the job. They're sucking at their jobs because they don't want to do the job. Pretty much, if that makes sense. The next question is going to be coming in from Caps, who writes, Dear Nero, what do you think is the main reason that a lot of quote-unquote modern games are coming out unfinished? Well, that kind of ties into the first question here. I think it's because it is the new industry norm. I think that way back in the day, if a game came out very incomplete and very buggy, it got pandered. It got bashed. It got slammed online, and it got horrible reviews, and people did not play the game, and the game didn't sell well, and then the studio would go under. Jobs were on the line, essentially, way back in the day. But slowly, that has evolved. Over the past, how long have I been on YouTube now? Like over 10 years? Like slowly over the past decade, the games industry has shifted. And it's definitely not just like an overnight thing, because overnight it wouldn't work. But slowly over time, one game comes out, it's a buggy mess. It's like, oh, okay, that was kind of that's a bit of an outlier, but, the games industry as a whole is still healthy. Then another game comes out, and it's buggy, it's messed up, and we're like, okay, well, again, it's another outlier, it's fine. Then another one happens. Then another one happens. And eventually it became so commonplace that we're at the point where any modern game that comes out, we just expect it not to work. And I think in general, we are suckers for purchasing games at launch. You look at Battlefield 2042, for example, on Steam anyway, and I know that the game has, different platforms you can play it on, but Battlefield 2042 has less active players right now than Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 5. Isn't that crazy? Like, the older Battlefield games have more active players now. And it's because people played 2042, they realized it was buggy and it was shitty and there's so many problems with it, and they have the Battlefield itch. They were excited, they wanted to play Battlefield, but the game simply does not work. It has so many problems. So they just went back to a Battlefield game that does work, that was made years and years and years ago. The games industry as a whole right now is shitty, and I don't buy games at launch anymore. People talk about like different games that are coming out. They're always like, what games are you excited for? There's one game. There's literally one game I'm excited for, and I hope it doesn't suck, but it's Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. It's the new Borderlands game. I love Borderlands. I love Fallout, and I love COD. Like, those are my big franchises. I guess Warcraft as well, like World of Warcraft. That's different, right? So those are my three like big games, like the annual releases or whatever, or games that come out semi-frequently. Those are my big franchises. And every time a game comes out from one of those three franchises, I buy the game. I'm excited for the game. I hope the best for the game, but I know in my heart of hearts that there's going to be issues, because every game is like that. I feel as though for the consumer, the best thing for you to do is, if you can, especially if you don't have a big friend group like pressuring you and people to play with and stuff like that, if you're just like an average gamer that just wants some fun stuff to play, then I feel as though the best thing to do is to wait until like 4 months after launch, like at least. Because if you wait till 4 months after the game comes out, sure, you miss the initial hype wave or whatever, but by the time you get the game, you're going to buy it for cheaper, and it's going to have more content, and it's going to actually work as compared to the people that buy it on launch, because like the first 4 to 6 months of any game these days is like a beta that you're paying for, essentially. So yeah, if I wasn't a YouTuber, I wouldn't be buying COD on launch. Like, I feel as though I have a responsibility to the community and to my channel and to myself and to the franchise to buy the game at launch, critique the game, cover news, cover updates, do everything I can to help try to make the Call of Duty franchise better. I don't know how much leeway I have in the COD community anymore. I've been around for so long, but I'm pretty irrelevant, I would say, these days. My channel has not grown in years, but I'm kind of an old hat these days. People know me, people have heard of me and stuff like that, and I feel as though when I do make a video discussing something or suggesting feedback, that maybe that does have a little bit of pull at the studios themselves, because I do get messages every now and then from developers and stuff like that watch my videos, or I'll get tweets from them, and I see that they follow me on Twitter and stuff like that. So the developers and the publishers, they are aware of my content, and because of that, I feel as though I have a responsibility to voice my concerns with the game and try to get the franchise back on track, as what little power I have to be able to do so. So I do what I can, I suppose, but, again, I made that video when the game first came out. I made that video on New Year's Eve, and I'll tell you guys right here and now, you should not buy Vanguard. There's no reason for you to buy Call of Duty Vanguard. The game fundamentally does not work. It is completely imbalanced. There are more issues than there are not issues, and it's a problem. You should not buy this game. It's that bad. So yeah, I guess it is what it is, but I feel as though, going back to the question here, the main reason for a lot of modern games coming out unfinished is because of the games industry as a whole making it acceptable. People buy the games regardless, and people will always say, like, we need to speak with our wallets and not buy the game and do this and that. Well, I'm a YouTuber. It's different for me. Not to sound, whatever, but it is different for me. Like, literally, this is my job to cover the Call of Duty franchise. This is what I do, So I have to do that, but I recommend that people don't buy the game. I play the game so you guys don't have to, essentially, is the idea here. But at the same time, there are so many game franchises out there and so many fans of every single game that, regardless of a game being buggy or bad or whatever, it's still going to sell. It's still going to make its money. And they've learned that. The developers and the publishers, they've all learned that they can put out an incomplete product, and with the power of online and updates and stuff like that, they can just fix it later, or at least maybe attempt to. Whereas back in the day, you had to actually fix your game before it came out. The game had to actually be complete at launch, because you can't just sell a game, especially back before the days of online and stuff like that, and have it just be a big broken mess. I mean, some games were like that, but those games got horrible reviews. Those games, it became, widespread news that this game sucks and this game's broken, that the developers don't care, and this, that, and the other thing, and the game didn't sell. But it's online. It's a whole different landscape these days. The next question is going to be coming in from R. Stransky. I think I pronounced that correctly. He writes, Dear Nero, after experiencing skill-based matchmaking in Fortnite as a new player, has your opinion on skill-based matchmaking in general changed at all? Sorry about that. I thought my phone was on silent. Apparently it's not, and I'm not professional enough to edit that out. Has your opinion on skill-based matchmaking in general changed at all? I say all of this assuming you dislike the idea of skill-based matchmaking. So yes, I have been playing a lot of Fortnite as of late, almost an unhealthy amount, streaming it every single night. And skill-based matchmaking is very thick in that game. So when you first start playing, you literally get in lobbies with like a couple people like yourself that are brand new. But other than that, you have like actual AI bots running around, like computer AI, And it's very clear, like, when these people are actually bots, because, you walk up to them and they just build one wall and they walk out from behind the wall. It's very easy to tell that they're bots. But then eventually, you get through your bot games, and what you should do is you should actually practice. That's why they're there, because Fortnite has an incredibly high skill ceiling with all the building and different things that you can actually do, and the weapon bloom and different kinds of weapons. And, you add in the things like Spider-Man gloves and all sorts of stuff. There's a very high skill ceiling in the game. So the idea of the bot thing is like slowly introduce you to the game, get you used to the mechanics and stuff like that. Well, the problem with that is I was brand new to the game. So I had those bot lobbies, and then my brother starts playing. He's also new to the game, so I'm partied with him. We get back in the bot lobbies. Then my friend James starts playing, and then Sean, and then Nate, and then Tate, and then all my friends that are on my streams like every single night, like all these guys, we all just start playing and playing and playing, and systems started playing. We always have these newer people that are in our party, and therefore we get put in these like bot lobbies and stuff like that. So it's like, it's chill. You do your challenges, you level up, you do your battle pass. Most of the time, you're facing real people. Every now and then, you'll see a bot. It's kind of chill and whatever. Then I go play solo. I've had the game for, 10 days now? I started playing like January 1st. It's a little bit over 10 days. I have like 60 or 70 wins because of how easy the game is because of skill-based matchmaking. Well, now, when I'm not partied up with a friend that also just started playing, and I go play by myself, or if I play with a friend like Earthbound that's been playing the game forever, we get in the sweatiest lobbies you can imagine. Like, these people are able to build, like, the Empire State Building in 2 seconds. Like, I'm, like, flabbergasted as I see these people. Like, I'll start shooting the guy, and he'll make, like, a 3-foot, or 3-wall wide and 2-story tall thing in, like, literally a second, as if he had just, like, some sort of a macro set up where he presses one button and the entire thing just builds itself. It's insane how good people are at this game. They've been playing it for forever, and I'm brand new. And so skill-based matchmaking thinks I'm some sort of god because I've got, like, 50-something wins in my first week of playing the game, and I'm not a god because, again, we've been like, every time I bring a friend in, we end up getting in bot lobbies and stuff like that. So this is like the one time that skill-based matchmaking has actually benefited me. I think in general, the idea of skill-based matchmaking is stupid. I think that skill-based matchmaking should not be in video games. I feel as though games were a lot better when it was just completely random. When I go into a game of COD or when I go into a game of Fortnite or whatever, I want to go in there based on connection and then, play people that are like relatively in my area, I suppose, and some of those people are going to be gods. Some of those people are going to be brain dead stupid. And some of those people are going to be somewhere in the middle like I am. And that's the fun of it, right? Whereas knowing that the game like Fortnite is making me face AI bots at times, that kind of feels bad because even if I win that game, I don't care because I just, most of the people, there are some people in the lobby, but most of the time I'm facing AI. And in Call of Duty, it's just stressful if you're a good Call of Duty player because, I'm going for atomic camo. I'm trying to level up, my machine pistol with the burst fire attachment. Meanwhile, this dude's using his golden MP40. It's like, well, that's not fun. So I think the idea of skill-based matchmaking in general is stupid. I would love for it to go away. I see why it's there. I think to some extent, maybe skill-based matchmaking does have a place in video games, especially in a game like Fortnite. Again, it eases you into the game so you don't get stomped right away and have a very negative experience. The same way is true of COD. Maybe have a protected bracket for the brand new players, like really brand new as they first start playing. But once you can tell they're competent, once they know how the guns work and how to move straight, then start putting them in lobbies with actual people. rifle and make it based on connection like it used to be back in the heyday of the Call of Duty franchise, going from like Call of Duty 4 up until Black Ops 2. The next question is going to be coming in from Preach, who writes, Dear Nero, do you think shotguns should be an effective primary weapon, or should they be secondary weapons with pistol level effectiveness? For replayability's sake, I wish they were all secondary level weapons. So I think primaries, weapons is like the way to go for shotguns. I feel as though shotguns should be effective as a primary, but not as effective as they are in Vanguard. Little known fact about me, if we go back to Call of Duty World War II, my top weapon in that game was the combat shotgun. Looking at my combat record, because combat records actually worked in that game as compared to this one, my most kills with a weapon was the combat shotgun. I love shotgunning in the Call of Duty franchise. I'm trying to think back to a number of games in the past. Black Ops 1, some of my top weapons were shotguns. Black Ops 2, my top weapon was the R870. I love shotgunning in the Call of Duty franchise because you give up all your power at range to become like the ultimate powerhouse up close. And there's, there are pros and cons to that play style. You have to play, believe it or not, back when, you have to play pretty smart to be able to be good with a shotgun. Whereas in a game like Vanguard, where shotguns are just really good in general, they're kind of lame. They're just really, really good. Like anywhere, I think Marksman, I was watching a Marksman stream earlier tonight, and he's talking about how SMGs aren't really all that viable in game modes like Search and Destroy, because rifles and LMGs are so good at range. So if you want to use an SMG, that has to be up close. But if an SMG is viable in Vanguard, then that's also shotgun distance because of how busted the shotguns are. So SMGs are just kind of pointless, and shotguns are nuts up close. And you need only go into virtually any lobby in Vanguard to realize that the dual double barrels are broken. The combat shotgun equivalent in this game is broken. I mean, honestly, the Einhorn, I made a video on the Einhorn. If you build that thing for range, it's literally a sniper rifle in shotgun form. It's crazy. The shotguns are just insane. They're too good. I don't want them to be this good. And that's coming from somebody who is a shotgun player. I love shotgunning in the COD franchise, but it's too easy in a game like Vanguard, and that just completely ruins the balance of the game. And Sledgehammer Games said they were going to be nerfing shotguns, but they haven't. So that's frustrating. Hopefully that'll actually happen sometime before Season 4, but then again, they're very slow moving this year. The next question is going to be coming in from Blazing Blue Box, who writes, Dear Nero, what is a core childhood memory of yours? Also, I'm glad you're doing better. Well, thank you, Blazing Blue Box, who's one of my members here on the channel and a new subscriber on Twitch. Thank you, sir. I am doing very well, and thank you very much for that. But some core childhood memories. I'd say my favorite overall core childhood memory was my grandparents' house. So I grew up in the middle of nowhere. We didn't have internet even. My grandma did, actually. Once I turned like 10, she got like one of those old, gateway computers. And she had an internet connection, but it was dial up and you had the modem and everything. And but my favorite childhood memory was even before that. My favorite childhood memory would be a collective, just like collective memories of being at my grandmother's house when my cousins would come over. So me and my brother lived right next door to my grandparents out in the middle of nowhere. And my cousins would, I might as well, they're Heather and Kayla were their names, and they would come over and they would stay the weekend there for one reason or the other. And as soon as we saw like their mom's car pull up like through the window or whatever, we're like, oh, Heather and Kayla are here. And so we would just, bye mom, see you Sunday. And we'd run across the yard, and then we would just stay the weekend at my grandparents' house as well. And we would watch 90s Nickelodeon, 90s Disney. We would build forts all the time. They had a pretty big living room and tons of blankets and stuff. So we'd take the chairs and the couches and stuff like that. We'd build these massive forts. We'd spend a lot of time outside. My grandparents eventually got one of those above ground pools and everything. So we would spend the entire summer swimming. There was a swing set there. We had a great childhood. We really did. We had so much fun. And that was my favorite core memory, just like those days that last forever, on summer vacation in the 90s, birds chirping outside, perfect weather, going outside and playing, or coming back inside and watching 90s Nickelodeon, SpongeBob was on, Rocko's Modern Life, Angry Beavers, that kind of thing. Like, that's back when life, not that my life is bad now, my life's great, but when you're a kid, there's something magical about that point in your life where you have no responsibilities. There's so much wonder. There's so much magic in the world. And I loved my childhood. I miss it. And I miss that point in my life. So that's my favorite like collective childhood experience, I would say, is like spending time with my grandparents, with my cousins and my brother, and just loving life so much. The next question, actually, I had this written down here. This actually came in from a lot of people. I picked just one at random, a DBS fan, but a lot of people asked this question. Dear Nero, today PUBG has officially gone completely free to play globally on all platforms. Do you think it will hurt Warzone in any way, shape, or form? Hopefully. I don't know literally anything about PUBG. I've watched it. I've never played it. I played some H1Z1 with Wildcat back when, but I don't think I ever played PUBG. Whenever I watch it, I'm like, it doesn't really look all that great, honestly, but a lot of people like it for one reason or another. So now that it's free to play on all platforms, yes, there should be a massive spike in the player base, and hopefully it does get some traction. Hopefully some people are enjoying it. Hopefully they continue to update the game and make it better, because competition is always a good thing. Call of Duty needs more competition. I think we need more competition in the gaming industry as a whole, because going back to the second question about modern games coming out and just being completely unfinished, that would stop happening, and devs would work harder and publishers make sure the game is more finished if there was more competition. That's just, I think, how the world works. That's how the free market works. So hopefully PUBG does take the world by storm now that it's free to play on all platforms. Hopefully it does put, the proverbial boot on Activision's neck a little bit and kind of gets them to focus up a little bit more and puts a little bit more pressure on them. Right, because as of right now, no one's holding Activision's feet to the fire. No one is trying to, force them to be a better publisher. No one's forcing the devs to be a better studio. It's just right now they know Call of Duty is going to make their money, and they put out at least a passable game to the average player. And the hardcore players, we can tell that there are tons of problems and tons of issues, but I guess it is what it is, guys. Hopefully PUBG does pretty well, though, because, again, we could definitely use more competition in the gaming space. The next question here is going to be coming in from Joaquin, who writes, Dear Nero, Apple or Android? Apple. I know people get so, into this for some reason. I don't know why, but I don't care about the phone wars. I really don't. I've always had an Apple phone. Well, actually, that's not true. I had, going way back when, I had, an NV2, I think it was called. And then I had a BlackBerry Storm, the old school ones that had the clicking noises, even though it was a touchscreen. And then after that, I had an iPhone 4. That was my first iPhone, and I liked it. And then I'm the kind of person though that I don't get a new phone every year. I get a phone, I have it for a half a decade. So I went from an iPhone 4, and then eventually, I got an iPhone 6S Plus, I think it was, years and years and years and years later. And then I had that for 5 years or something like that, until eventually it started getting a little shitty. And then I got an iPhone 11 Pro Max, and the speaker died on it. It's actually really shitty. If I get a phone call from Courtney or whatever, or anyone, I can't hear. I have to be in a completely silent room, plugging my other ear to barely be able to hear them on the phone. Music is completely silent. It's real bad. I need to go get it fixed somewhere, but they're yeah, it's gonna be $300 to fix that, because we have to take off the screen, and the screen's gonna be $300. I'm well, I don't want that. So I've always had Apple phones. I'm not opposed to Android. I've never had one. I'm the kind of person where I had the iPhone 4, so I got the iPhone 6 because it's the exact same interface, and the same way with the iPhone 6 going to the 11. The next question here is going to be coming. I should read this differently. How do you like your steak cooked? Matt from New York. So there you go. He actually wrote that's an old school way of submitting a question for Dear Nero. It used to be, Dear Nero, here's the question, and then name and location, essentially. Matt from New York, or stuff like that from way back when. How do I like my steak? Medium rare. I think that's a pretty common thing. I know some people like them super rare. My grandpa likes them really well done, leather. I'm I don't want that. I can stand medium. Medium's actually, depending on where you go, medium might be better than medium rare. It just depends on who's cooking it, I suppose. But I'd say medium rare to medium, depending on where I'm going. I want it to be juicy. I don't want it to be super dry, but I don't want it to be bleeding, it's rare, it's still half alive or something. The next question here is coming in from Chase, who writes, Dear Nero, why do you pronounce it ricochet when it's pronounced ricochet? I'm not really sure what this question is supposed to entail. It's called the Ricochet anti-cheat, not the Ricochet anti-cheat. It just sounds stupid. It's called Ricochet. I call it what it is. The next question is going to be coming in from Miss Courtney, who writes, Dear Nero, childhood dream of yours that you still want to come true. Good question, Courtney. I'm not biased at all for picking you. A childhood dream of mine that I'm working towards still is owning everything, essentially. That sounds kind of weird, right? But owning my house, owning my vehicle, having everything paid off. That was always a childhood dream. For me, a childhood dream was just having my own house, because I was always kind of person where I like going out, I like seeing people and stuff like that. That's why I ended up drinking so damn much, because I liked going to the bars and stuff way back when. And I'm a very social person, but at the same time, I'm also the kind of person that can just sit at home all day and just watch TV and play video games and just enjoy life by himself at the same time. So my dream forever was just own my own house. And 3-4 years ago, I can't remember, I bought this house. and I'm still paying it off. I have like $60,000 still to pay off on this house. And as a YouTuber with a very fluctuating income, that's a lot of money, and that's going to take a while to pay off. So my dream is to pay off the house, pay off my truck, because honestly, like, I live in a small town. Cost of living is horrible here. Not horrible. Cost of living is, what's the word? Like, low? Yeah, there you go. The cost of living is very low where I live. Like, it's, if you make $40,000 around here a year, you're doing pretty well. And I know for a lot of people that live in like big cities and stuff like that, you're like, that doesn't even buy you like a 1-bedroom apartment. It's like, yeah, try living in small town Pennsylvania. Like, cost of living here is fantastic. All my friends and family live here. All my memories are here. I see no reason to ever want to move, right? So I have my house here. I would love to pay off my house. I'd love to pay off my truck, because once I do that, I would feel virtually semi-retired. I mean, obviously, I'd still be working. I'd still be earning an income and all that and stuff like that. But like, my monthly bills would be like under $1,000 if I, had my house, my truck paid off. Imagine, I mean, for some of you, you guys already achieved that dream, and congratulations to you guys. Like, that is so cool. I can't wait to get there. But for the majority of you out there, imagine life with no rent, no car payment, no mortgage, none of that. Imagine that all paid off. How much less stress would you have in your life if all that was just paid off? And you didn't have like your student loan debt, even like if you had like all that just paid off, right? It'd feel pretty damn good, right? So that's it sounds weird calling it a childhood dream, but as a kid, I always wanted to have my own house and do whatever I wanted with it, and have a pool and have a game room and this, that, and the other thing, and I have that now, kind of, but it's not paid off. And I would like to pay off my house, pay off my truck, and yeah, I basically feel semi-retired at that point. I would just have so much less stress in the world. But then again, I'm the kind of guy with like, it sounds stupid, like I almost like high functioning anxiety in a way. I'm sure I would just focus in on something else to be worried about and be stressed about if I paid off my house and my truck and everything. But right now that's the goal, is to get that all paid off and build an extension onto the house and everything like that. The next and final question here is going to be coming in from Black Guy 223. It's his name. There you go. Who writes, should we all stop buying AAA games on release date? These publishers and devs are getting out of hand. That goes back to the second question here, but I wanted to round off the video by saying this once again, just to reiterate one more time for you all. Yes. Unless it's like literally your job to cover games, or, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like your money. You can do whatever you want with it. But unless it's your job and to cover games and cover news and stuff like that, it is in your best interest just to wait 3 to 6 months after the game comes out, because by that point, the game will be cheaper. You might even get it for half price. It'll actually be fixed, hopefully, unless it's made by Sledgehammer, and it'll have more content. Once again, hopefully, unless it's made by Sledgehammer. So in general, when it comes to AAA games, it is in your best interest just to wait. I mean, but it's no fun to do that though, right? Like, you want to be there at launch. You want to be there with all the people. You want to be there playing with your friends and family and things like that. I get it. I really do. But in general, I think we can all at least acknowledge or understand that it is in our best interest to just not buy AAA games at launch and wait for a sale. But ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. There is this week's episode of Dear Nero, a nice solo episode here. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like. Thank you so much to all my channel members here on the channel for supporting me and everything I do here. Thank you guys all so much from the bottom of my heart. And I'll catch you guys with another video here very soon. Have a great day, guys.